Meeting in the playoffs. Stacey Dales, take it away.
And, Rich, they call this year's group the Cardiac Commanders for a very good reason. Their last 5 victories coming down to a final play. No team averages more points in the fourth quarter than the Commanders. Their head coach, Dan Quinn, calls it winning time football, winning time moments. And how would you believe it? It starts with a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels, JD5. I spoke with his center, Tyler Biotish, who told me that from the moment he arrived at camp to now, he is always in the present moment. He said to me, it's called the zone. It's that Zen state where he's locked in and being a competitor. He told me, you look at all the situational football, the good situational football we've played, whether it be a final possession or a game-winning drive, those winning time moments, it is because of Jaden Daniels, because he is locked into the present moment at all times on every given possession. I can assure you he is locked in, coming here to upset the Detroit Lions tonight.
Most fourth down conversions by a playoff team since 1991. The Eagles and the Lions with 22 this season, breaking the record of the Lions last year, which is one more than the Commanders this year. I guess in order to toss it over to the next two to talk about it, I must say, Steve, Cynthia, go for it.
Let's go for it. Okay, Rich, thanks. So I'm going to ask you, Cynthia, because you're an analytics girl, all right? Which one of these Dans right here uses analytics to their advantage more? Dan Campbell, Dan Quinn?
I would argue that it's actually both of them. I think that they've made it part of their identity and they've gone for it. So we know that Dan Campbell has used it as his identity now for at least 2 seasons, right? Yeah, you laughed at that.
Yeah,
you like
he does this, okay.
Yeah, right. But, you know, obviously the Commanders have the better percentage, 20 of 23, 87%. The Lions are 22 of 33, so 2/3 of the time they convert. But when you're looking at when the situations are happening, a lot of factors really come into play. For example, how often they're practicing and preparing and using some of the calls. Like we were talking about this yesterday. How did you typically prepare for going for it on 4th down? What was your strategy?
Well, it would depend on if it's 4th and short, 4th and medium, 4th and real long, those kinds of things, too. And you would draw from your plays that you've practiced all week, whether 3rd down and 12 or 4th down and 12, similar group of plays. But the other thing is, sometimes on 3rd down, you will call a play to prepare for that 4th down and make it more doable. The difference, Cynthia, the difference I see between these two guys, this guy right here, Dan Campbell, he's a risk taker, man. He's a gunslinger. He's going to tell his team, we're going for 4th down about 4 times in this game. And he's, you know, but he's a little bit more judicious. Dan Quinn, with 20 out of 23, I think he's a little bit more calculating. Yes, I should do this, or maybe I shouldn't do this.
Well, when I'm looking at this one, I would argue that both of them need to help keep their defenses off the field for various reasons. So it's probably a factor in there as well.
Keep your defense. That's a good point.
Jackson and Derrick Henry they have the most rushing yards of any teammate duo this entire season. What makes them so lethal now that they've added Derrick Henry and we've seen what he does? Where are you going? Are you going inside the screen?
That stiff arm makes it lethal, huh? There's other things too, you know. But you know what? The zone read, okay? The read option. You put it in your high school team when they run it like this. It's a zone play right here. Lamar's going to read TJ Watt. If he closes down, he pulls it. If he comes up the field, boom, he tackles Derrick Henry, and off he goes. Watch Isaiah Likely get a block 1st down. All right, let's run the same play. Instead of reading the outside guy, let's read the inside guy, Landon Roberts, all right? We're going to read him. But he sees him scraping over here taking quarterback, so let's hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, and why don't you just stiff arm that guy on your way to the end zone, and away you go. This is the read option, which is so simple. Even a caveman can do it, okay? But you know what? You're taking the guys that are the last 5 years the best quarterback running and the best runner, put them on the same team, makes them very, very dangerous.
Magic, fireworks. The last time that these two teams met, though, Derrick Henry, he ran for 199 yards. But this time, the Bills, they'll have Matt Milano. They'll have Teron Johnson. And they'll have Terrell Bernard. So things could be a little different. All right, now let's get up to Sarah Walsh in Kansas City. Sarah!
there's been a lot of talk this week about the need for C.J. Stroud to use his legs. His offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, says we embrace that without a question. And you need to look no further than the quarterback on the other team for a masterclass on when to run when it's needed most. Since 2018, Patrick Mahomes rushes for 20 yards a game, but that goes up to 29 yards a game in the postseason. The Texans understand this. They saw him do it in Week 16. He ran in for a 15-yard score. Danielle Hunter told me they have to find a way to affect him. They've got a game plan for him, and he said that the message this week has been to keep it simple. Don't do anything crazy because it's the playoffs. Now, Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. have combined for 24.5 sacks this season. No duo in the league has more. As for somebody else who knows what it's like to make a quarterback's life miserable, here's Max.
To welcome Max Crosby into Players Only, four-time Pro Bowler, perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate, Las Vegas Raider defensive end, Max Crosby. We appreciate you being here with us. Yeah. Excited to have you here.
Absolutely.
You were also a part of the team that went into Kansas City last and beat the Chiefs. So we're going to start right there. We've seen some wired ups that were a little different than that. You and Patrick Mahomes going at it. So tell me how you slow down, how you get Patrick Mahomes off his game.
Yeah, I think the key starts in the run game. If you can get the Chiefs to be one-dimensional and then you could pin your ears back and get out to the quarterback, I think that's your best chance of beating him, because Pat is going to hold the ball. He's going to try to make a bunch of plays on the feet, on the run, left hand, right hand. He's going to be creative, but you have to get your track shoes on. You got to get your cross-country cardio on point, and you got to run all day. So that's like our mindset every single time we're going against him. Like, we got to be tuned in, be detailed in the run game, so we can have a chance to get after him in the pass.
It's always interesting when people say, like, you don't expect them to say, how do you slow down Patrick Mahomes? You stop the run game and put it in his hands. But you know, making any team one-dimensional is the key. Is there something that can be done on the back end that helps you guys on the front end? Because he can do so many different things.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part. If you can keep him in the pocket, crush rush, but also not rush scared, that's going to give you the best opportunity. He is so good at improvising, and he makes it so natural, just moving around the pocket. If you're manned up and you're on the back end, you have to glue and you have to be glued to your guy, because you see guys like Travis Kelce who know exactly where to go and sit in the zone. They're on the same page all the time. So I think that's the most important thing. You can't let him hold the ball and scramble around, because once you do that, I mean, no DB can guard for 5-6 seconds. It's almost impossible.
All right, so he gave us the blueprint. So now we're going to spin it forward to this game against the Texans. Who's more important for the Texans defense? Will Anderson Jr. or Derek Stingley Jr., talking about front end or back end?
I'm going to go with Will Anderson, because, like Max just said, it's about the guys up front. That's what gives Mahomes problems. He doesn't have a problem with DBs. He has problems with rushers. You got Will Anderson here burning off the edge. That guard was supposed to get him. He can't even get to him. Destroy the running back. He's on the quarterback now. What does speed off the edge do? You got Joe Tooney starting out there, not used to being in space. It makes the tackle jump out, and then he can beat you underneath. The rush is what bothers Patrick Mahomes, and they're going to have to rush well today in order to get to him. The DBs, but when the rush is on them.
But the only thing I will say is, one thing I think with the Chiefs is they struggle a little bit to separate in man-to-man coverage. So those guys on the back end, you talk about plastering, press man, throw off the timing could be huge as well. So obviously front end, back end always have to work together. Great to have you here. Now we are going to welcome Max as only we can here on Game Day morning next with a little Pictionary, Max. Welcome.